Welcome back to more Arthur's Absolutely Fun Day. Last time we went through all the main minigames in Arthur's neighborhood, and this time we are ready to go to Wonderworld. Off screen, I went ahead and replayed the library minigame enough times to get the remaining stars we needed, so yeah, we are good to go. Wonderworld is a separate hub area with 5 minigames, and frankly, 5 kind of underwhelming minigames if I'm being honest. Let's start from the top and work our way towards the bottom of the park. So we're starting out with a dunk tank. I was never a fan of this one for 2 reasons. One, the timing and positioning needed to actually hit the target always felt way too precise for me. I say as I actually got it 2 times in a row just now. Okay, I was hoping it would actually be 3 times in a row, given how much I was complaining about how difficult it was. But it's kind of like a lot of the other minigames where you have to hold the A button down for such a specific amount of time, and you also have the added component of trying to actually line up the shot too. It's not straight ahead from where Arthur's looking, it's more like lined up to his arm, which does make sense in all fairness. I also never liked it because I'm not a fan of clowns, so the clown taunting you in the dunk tank was never my favorite thing in the world, but I guess it is an incentive to try to actually hit the target. One thing I discovered on a test recording is you can't leave this minigame by pressing a button. You have to actually wait until it prompts you to leave. So we actually just have to kind of sit here until the little menu pops up. Unless I'm absolutely missing something, this is the only way to actually leave this minigame, which is really weird. It should be any moment now. At least, there it is. Alright, so next up is this one. And this is basically skee ball. Nothing too fancy about it. Similar to the last one, we have to kind of hold it down a very specific amount of time to lob it. I remember being really terrible at this minigame too. So getting a first try 50 is actually kind of impressive. So yeah, this one's not super exciting, I find. There are 2 60s, so those would be a little bit better. But I don't know how easy it would be to actually reach those, considering they're off to the side. We can try. I'm also not sure, like, the timing of how much you have to hold down A to really properly throw it. Yeah, that wasn't enough, but if you throw it too hard, then it just is like a gutter ball. I don't know what the skee ball equivalent of a gutter ball would be, but it's like that. Also, in the test recording, I discovered that there aren't enough skee balls shown to actually match how long the game is. It's like, I think you have like 10 tries or something, but like very soon there will be nothing in the little chute, and we will still have tries. Yeah, aiming for the 60 is really not working out well, huh? So yeah, visually speaking, that should be the last one we just picked up. But there are even more, so we're not quite done yet. This one, because it actually has a finite amount of skee balls, it will end on its own after a certain amount of time. Unlike the dunk tank, where you have to basically wait around awkwardly until the game prompts you to leave, this one, we actually can just, like, it will end after a certain amount of time. Whenever we run out, we'll move on to the next one. But yeah, these don't really have like score requirements or anything. This is just kind of for fun. And frankly, these minigames aren't even that fun, in my opinion. They're just kind of boring compared to the main ones. It's kind of ironic. The whole goal is to get to Wonderworld. But I actually find the Wonderworld minigames exceedingly not interesting. Wow, I'm getting a lot of 60s. I'm actually surprised. Alright, so next up we have this one, which I actually remember kind of liking. So we basically have these balloons, and we have to kind of hit the target to make the balloon go up faster, but I feel like there's a trick to it, because we're not actually going that fast. Yeah, the AI already won. Yeah, Buster already won. Wow, that was easy. Or that was short. Let's try this again. The target, actually, I think it makes a slightly different sound if you're like right on target, like that. And we still lost. One more time. See if we can figure out this timing. But yeah, it'll make an actual sound if you're actually on target, but it actually drifts out of alignment a little bit to make it tougher. Okay, we're not winning this one, I'm pretty sure, so let's just move on. Alright, so I guess next up would be this thing over here. So this is just your a basic like strength test, carnival. I don't know what the actual term would be. I am trying to figure out how this actually works. Doesn't feel like we're getting much height off of this. I almost feel like it's extremely precise. Also, I like how the bunny next to us is like just literally like a dot for an eye and a mouth. It's just the epitome of like the smile emoji, like the colon. Oh wow, we got it. Alright, so I think this one might also go on endlessly until we like leave on our own. So I'm gonna try to sit here for a bit. If this doesn't work, that's fine. I actually didn't test this one to see how to actually leave this mini game. Again, it feels like it's different for each one, which is kind of awkward. There we go. And our final Wonder World minigame is over here. It is not over here, it is actually somewhere else. I could have sworn there was this tent, because there is one more, I just need to— oh, it's this down here. You can really tell I don't actually play these minigames very often. This is the one I actually would play, the bumper cars. It's not exactly scintillating, but I do remember playing this quite a bit. I actually don't know how this works in terms of like winning, or like win conditions or anything, or even like basic movement, because it's like you use the D-pad to move. If you press A, you kind of go a little bit faster, and then B doesn't seem to do a whole lot. Yeah, this isn't like super exciting, but I feel like this was the one I played the most when I was really young, and I don't even know why in hindsight, because this isn't actually that interesting. This is extremely basic. But that kind of sums up the whole game. If my count is correct, this should be the last of the Wonder World minigames, unless I forgot about one entirely. I think there are 15 total in the game. 10 in the main area, and then 5 in Wonderworld. So yeah, if we did the dunk tank, the skee ball, the hammer thing, the balloon one, and this, that should be all 15. The credits were actually at the beginning of the game, so we've technically completed the game, because there's no like real goal to the Wonderworld minigames, and there's no like, you know, high scores or anything that you actually have to worry about. But yeah, in general, I feel like this game isn't the most exciting game in the world. It's pretty basic. But when you're like 4 and you get a Game Boy Color for the first time, it actually is really cool. Like, I had an NES, which was like a hand-me-down when I was really young, so I played like the original Mario, but like, those games were mostly like hand-me-down type games. So like having a game just all of my own was— oh wow, that actually has a finite end. I actually didn't realize that. Alright, so yeah, as I was saying, having a game all of my own was a cool feeling. And while this game wasn't the most exceptional game in the world, again, it was just kind of neat to have a game that, yeah, it just belonged to me. And I played it a bunch. I definitely got mad at a few of these mini games, because for like a 5-year-old, some of these are actually really, really difficult. But in general, I do really appreciate this game. I don't know if I like this game anymore just because it is so basic, but I appreciate this game for being such an early game in my childhood, and I also like the show. You know, the show just ended. I definitely fell off of the show after like a few seasons just because I grew up, basically. But I actually do have fond memories of the show. I was never a big television watcher when I was young. Like, I didn't really watch a whole lot of cartoons or anything. I remember watching a lot on PBS. Arthur was one of them. I do really like the show. It's a show where, even though I haven't seen an episode of Arthur in like 15 years, probably probably about 15 to 20 years. It's a show that's just kind of been going on, and airing new episodes, from time to time, and it's just been, like, cool to see that the show had been going on for so long, and it had been, doing really interesting things with a lot of its characters, from what I heard. So in general, it is sad that it's finally ending, but, after all this time, it is actually a pretty impressive run that went on as long as it did. And but yeah, it's one of those shows. I felt the same way about like the Blue's Clues revival recently, where it's like my experience with this show was a very small portion of my life. But it's still one of those things I look back on very fondly. Like, I have a lot of nostalgia for Arthur, probably more than most cartoons of this style. I don't remember a lot of specific episodes, to be honest. I know, like, Buster Rabbit got a spin-off for a while. I don't think it lasted very long. But yeah, I remember, like, bits and pieces of episodes. I remember enjoying it, though. And yeah, it's just always been a show that I've had nostalgia for, even though I frankly don't even remember much of it. So yeah, it is sad that it's finally come to an end. I'm also shocked that they never really did much else for Arthur gaming-wise. I know there were PC games, but in terms of like console-type games, I want to say this is kind of a rare exception. Like, most of them were PC. Like, there were tons of like Sesame Street games and other like educational-type games on like Wii and DS. To the point where, since they were still ongoing, I'm actually shocked that Arthur never got like a more modern-ish game, like for Wii or something. It definitely wouldn't have been something I would probably be that interested in playing at that point, because at that time I would be playing things like Super Mario Galaxy, and probably would have definitely moved on from Arthur by then. But it does feel like a series that could have gotten more like video games. Maybe like in this style, with like different mini games incorporating a bunch of the different cast. So yeah, I wish I remembered more about Arthur to even talk about it adequately, because I really don't have a whole lot to say. I'm actually gonna leave Wonderworld just to have a change in music. So yeah, there isn't a whole lot else to show in this game. It's like a 30-minute to 40-minute game, if you can actually get through the mini-games without too much difficulty, and have like one in particular that you're really good at to get the remaining stars. You actually don't need to do any of the other mini-games. You can just get all the stars from literally one mini-game if you want to. But for the sake of showing everything off, I wanted to go through everything and then just get everything else on my own time. But yeah, the main mini-games are actually a lot better. But even then, they're not exceptional. I'm not a fan of the basketball because of how finicky the timing is for the hold. The strawberry one is very slow. The recycling is okay. The pancakes, I definitely don't hate it as much as I used to, but every time I play this minigame, even if I get it first try, I'll always remember how much this minigame just completely derailed progress, and I would spend so long just trying to get the pancakes. I would struggle to get one. So to be able to actually get like all 10 in a row, like I can now, feels pretty cathartic. Even then though, in like test playthroughs, I have definitely messed up a few. So even now, 20 years later, I still occasionally botch the pancake minigame. Not to the level of when I was first playing this game, but definitely, definitely some hiccups with this one in particular. This one's fine, it's just really basic. That one's probably on the lower end. Yeah, library, air hockey, the newspaper one is okay, and the boxcar one is okay. As a game, it's not exactly the easiest game to recommend unless you're like a fan of Arthur and want to introduce like a younger gamer to video games. But even then, this being a Game Boy Color game, it's not exactly the most efficient way. I'm pretty sure this game isn't that expensive nowadays. Frankly, a lot of Game Boy games are kind of pricey. I think of like the original Shantae, but I feel like this game is not in high demand, so if you want to play this game on actual hardware for some reason, I'm sure it would not be difficult to acquire a copy. But again, it just kind of feels like a lot of work to play a Game Boy Arthur game, unless you're like me and have nostalgia for this game, in which case, yeah. It's thankfully not a game that, to my knowledge, has really skyrocketed in price in recent years, probably just because, frankly, the amount of people who have a lot of nostalgia for this game is probably less than a lot of other Game Boy titles. But yeah, as my first video game, I appreciate this game a lot. Going back to it, it's not great, and I can't exactly recommend it, but it was still fun to revisit it for this Let's Play. I hope you enjoyed this Let's Play and this opportunity for me to go down memory lane a bit about one of the very first video games I ever owned. And yeah, that about wraps up this playthrough, so thank you for watching, and I hope you'll join me next time for something different.